morning, everyone. I'm Megan Culliff, along here with Scott Micklin.
Good morning. It is Thursday, July 16th.
It is Thursday, July 16th. It's also the 128th day since the World Health Organization labeled the COVID-19 a pandemic.
Okay. How about that?
How about that?
All right, thank you.
So we're in like week 18 or 19. I'm going to have to go back and count.
You better go back and count.
I know, because I know.
We've lost count.
I know.
But here we are.
Our quarantine, but yeah.
Yeah, but here we are with our COVID-19 local information program, everybody. Welcome. We're glad that you're with us. Thank you for joining us this morning. And so there's still lots to talk about. Lots of numbers to share, lots of information to share. We've got some great guests lined up on the show today, so stay tuned, everybody. We're going to be talking with a local chaplain from the hospital, a little bit about how his job is going over there, and then a local business owner who, again, has been following some of the state public health orders and staying on top of all that, because those are changing almost on a 2-week basis or so.
Right.
So good to know about that.
Must be hard for a restaurant establishment.
Yes, that is.
It's already a hard job.
To.
Yes.
A restaurateur.
Ooh.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah.
How about that?
First froyo, and now wait and see.
There you are. So anyway, we've got some numbers to share.
Yes.
That I can maybe find here shortly.
Great. So as you do that,
okay,
because you're going to pull up the Johns Hopkins dashboard. So let me just go ahead and narrate it for our radio listeners, as well as sometimes it's hard to see that graph. But as of Wednesday night, 3,499,291 cases of COVID-19 have been reported in the U.S. alone, which is an increase of 67,717 from yesterday. And 137,419 deaths have been attributed to the virus, an increase of, this is a big number, 953 from yesterday.
Okay.
It's almost 1,000 deaths in a day.
Wow. Let me call this up. Let me put you back on camera here for a second while I call up the website here, because I can't find what I did earlier.
Great. And so, wonderful. Yeah. So the mortality rate, though, has gone down. So that leaves the mortality rate among confirmed cases at 3.9%, which is a little lower. It was at about 4.1 and 4.0% was trending for a bit. But,
I see.
And as far as number of tests that have been conducted in the U.S., 42,521,027 tests have been conducted in the United States, which is an increase of another big number, which this is the hopeful number. That's an increase of testing of 756,470.
Okay.
And 8.2 have come back positive, 8.2%.
Those are some big numbers.
Yeah, that's a really kind of staggering, actually. But
well, and we keep hearing about the cases are increasing in multiple states, almost the majority of states across the country.
Correct.
Recently.
And of course, there's a bit of a lag, especially when it comes to positives, and then of course when it comes to death.
Right.
So.
True. So here's the map that we're looking at, viewers, and of course the dark purple is where there are the most cases being reported. So as we can see, almost the entire state, almost all the entire state of Arizona is dark purple.
Correct. And then we have southern parts of California, and then most of the Deep South.
The Deep South, right.
In fact, all of the Deep South.
And in New Mexico, it is a lot here in the northwest corner, as we're familiar with, and in the southeast corner, and also in the Las Cruces area. We're seeing some of that in the southwest now, but other parts of our state are still, except for Albuquerque, Santa Fe, relatively low numbers of cases in our state. And if we go to our county from Johns Hopkins, we get to New Mexico. Radio audience, bear with us.
Yeah, I mean, how proud are you that Johns Hopkins is highlighting our county?
Well, they've been doing that since the start here.
Yeah,
and so here
for every county in the United States, I suppose.
They do.
It's pretty impressive.
Right. And so here are the numbers of the cases confirmed by 100K population, and then the numbers of confirmed cases for 2,776, and then they have a whole graphic here that kind of puts all that on one big dashboard for the county. And so we're looking at that. And so if you look at their graph on the lower right, the number of cases in the last 14 days, so again, they are kind of using this as an average, right? And you can see that uptick at the end of this graph. And so that's what I think is worth noting, that our numbers were kind of trending down, and now they're trending a little bit back up.
Right. And so we have the total confirmed cases at 15,841. So what that says? It's like taking an eye exam.
This is the statewide numbers.
Statewide. Okay.
Right.
So what?
Exactly. In our county, it's 2,766.
Gotcha.
So there we go. And 174 deaths. according to Johns Hopkins. So there we are for that. So there's that. There you go.
Helpful.
It is helpful. But again, and the reasons why we are seeing some of these public health orders, mask wearing in public, and some of these things, some of the changes for restaurants, which we're going to be talking about here with our second guest. But we do have our first guest, I believe,
on the line.
On the phone.
Let's do it.
So we could talk to them. Good morning. You're on KSJE. Thank you for calling in this morning.
Well, good morning. This is Chaplain Todd.
Hello, Todd Smith, chaplain from San Juan Regional Medical Center. Thank you for calling in. We appreciate it.
You bet. I was instructed to do so.
Well, you follow instructions very well, I guess.
That's good
There
of
you are.
Is
Hey,
that Megan?
yes, it is Megan.
Megan is here as well.
Megan.
I was going to say, hey,
Hello,
Chap
Megan.
Todd.
I know. Nice to hear your voice.
Nice to hear your voice. It's been a
This is the
while.
only time we talk, it seems like.
Right.
It's on the radio now.
On the show.
Yeah.
These are the times we're in.
That could be true. But we're glad that you're here, chaplain, to talk a little bit about some of the things that you are seeing at the hospital. And we were talking just before we came on the air this morning that there's been a change in the visitor policy, I think, since we last spoke with the chaplain.
Right. Yes, that was my question.
Yeah, most likely. I've been getting a lot of questions about this from local clergy. So this is a good time to kind of put this out there. A lot of the regulations or restrictions are probably the same. But I'm just going to kind of run through this in case somebody hasn't heard it, or maybe it has changed and I don't even know. But anyway, the visitor hours currently are from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Okay, so we'll start with that. And I'm speaking first of all now about the non-COVID hospitalized patients. These are folks who are on the second floor, the third floor, they've had surgery or whatever, or they're up on fifth floor they're having a baby, or they're on the cardiology unit. So all visitors for those folks must be 18 years of age or older. And any visitor will be screened. That means, they're going to take their temperature and ask them a bunch of questions. Now, each hospitalized patient, will be allowed one visitor per day, per admitted patient. This is kind of the crux. One visitor a day. So they can't rotate in and out if it's a big family or whatever. They're just going to have one person. An admitted patient cannot have multiple visitors in one day. And if the visitor leaves the facility during the visiting hours with plans to return, they will be rescreened at the main entrance and must be prepared to show ID before returning upstairs. No overnight visitors will be allowed. And then any visitor traveling from out of state they'll have to quarantine for 14 days before they would be able to visit. So that takes care of the non-COVID patients here in the hospital. Now I'll just mention, and I don't think there have been any changes here for those who are on our COVID floor. And it says initially that any exceptions to this policy will be made on a case-by-case basis and may include one family member that fits the following criteria. Here we go. So for a minor, obviously a minor will be allowed to have a parent or a legal guardian present with them. Visitors would be allowed for a patient who was lacking decision-making capacity. They were either injured or, maybe an elderly dementia patient or something. But anyway, they're just, they need to have somebody there who's their spokesperson. And then patients who are near the end of life, we will really work hard to figure out how to make that happen for folks. We don't want anybody alone. And then also expectant mothers, moms who are in labor, they need to have a coach and a champion there with them. So they would be able to have a visitor as well. So, in addition to that, we just always encourage phone calls and FaceTime, Skype, and we will try to facilitate those things happening as well. So
Very
I think
good.
That covers the policy. How's that sound?
Yeah, no, thank you, Todd Smith. And this is, of course, nothing new to San Juan Regional Medical Center. I mean, most medical facilities, if not all, are following these similar types of policies, are they not, for their visitors?
Yes, as far as I know, and the folks that I talk with across the country that are in my role, yeah, we're all just about at the same place with this.
Very good. And I know, too, we spoke with Jeff Bourgeois earlier in the week, Todd Smith, about, I know the hospital provides e-greetings and things like that you can, I think, find from the hospital's website, and other ways to just send a note, send a card to a patient that's at the hospital.
Yeah, that's true. And I read something the other day that the cards like at Walmart or at the grocery store, they're just about gone. All of the get well soon and those kinds of things are the shelves are just about empty is what I heard. So that might be a good option for folks to check our website.
Yeah. Well, and then I just got thinking now, when PPE was short supply, people were making masks. I'm like, maybe we should now make cards. Is that a
Well,
possibility? Could we drop those off? If a bunch of kids wanted to get together and make some adorable cards?
I don't know why not. I'm trying to think of, I'd hate to go to the trouble. And then let me get back to you on that, Megan, because I probably need to check with infection control and all that kind of stuff just to make sure that we're not bringing things in that that haven't been vetted, so to speak. But I think it's a wonderful idea. But let me get back to you on that. I promise I will this afternoon.
Cool. Yeah, thanks. That would be fun to hear. And how has this changed your job now that more visitors and more clergy are allowed in, though with, of course, strict requirements, but still, now we're allowing people in.
Yeah. It's I don't know that it's changed it a whole lot, partly because even this one visitor a day rule is fairly new, but it is a little bit odd sometimes. I'll go to a room and there's already somebody in there, and I've gotten used to not having anybody in there, and it may be a daughter or something, but it's encouraging to know that all right, we are getting some families put together and people who really care about each other. So that's taken a little bit of pressure off, I think, and anytime I can support one of our local clergy who have people here, I really want to have their back. I had a long conversation with a guy from a church over in Aztec yesterday. He was asking some questions, and I just, I emphasized if I can help, if I can see somebody that needs to be seen, and family's not around or you're not able to get over here or whatever, I will be glad to do that if I can. And maybe since we've last spoken, I have been granted access to the COVID patient rooms. Initially, I was not.
That's new.
I thought it was because they were really concerned about me. and
We're all concerned about you.
But actually, it was because they were concerned about PPE being in short supply, as you mentioned a minute ago. And we kind of got to the place where we realized, that's not such an issue, and so I'm one person, and I'm pretty selective about where I go, but I can go into those rooms. I do go into those rooms from time to time. I've been given the training and all that, so that's an option, and I just want people to know that I'm here to support our local, faith community any way I can.
Well, Todd, I bet that's a great comfort for those patients, too, because I know for a long time they weren't able to see much of anyone besides their caregivers in those rooms if you were a COVID patient. So that's got to be a change for the positive.
Yeah, I think so. And a lot of times, the nurse that they see, they may only see her, a couple of times a day, and because they kind of save up all their chores that they have to do when they go into a room, so that when they do, put on all the gear and they go in, sometimes they're going to be in there for, 45 minutes or an hour. And it's, pretty grueling, but that's, then there's long stretches that nobody comes in. So yeah, occasionally I'll visit with a patient who, man, they just want to, they just want to talk. Obviously, there are gradations of their ability to do so based on their condition and status. Ventilated patients obviously aren't going to be chatting with me, but occasionally those whose symptoms are fairly minor and light initially, yeah, they're just ready to have somebody to talk with and pray with them, and so it's an interesting. No, it's just always changing, it seems like. There's always something new and different on the horizon for me.
Yes, well, that is the nature of the job, and a lot of folks might not know exactly what a chaplain does, but you kind of covered it there. But I'm just wondering if since the COVID stuff hit us, if the questions that you're receiving and the conversation and the tenor of the conversation has shifted dramatically, or is it still kind of the same type of conversation topics that you're getting?
Well, that's a good question. I guess I would say both and. There's some of it just continues to be sort of the same. Just patients want a prayer. And then they're pretty simple. That's all they need. And sometimes I'll try to put that off a little bit so I have a chance to get to know them. What are the issues? The existential issues that have been around forever are still here. The questions that people have about, their life, their death, and what's on the other side, and these kinds of things have always been there. So when people get sick, those things come to mind, and they want to talk about those things. They don't always have the words to do so. So they just blurt out, pray for me. And okay, that's fair enough, and we'll do that. But let's talk about what you want me to pray about, or us to pray about. And so it gives me a chance to kind of, get into things that they're concerned about, what's really important to them. Do they need to make peace with something or someone, or whatever? And the rates of religious affiliation, Megan, you probably know this as well as anybody, are going down pretty consistently in our country. But those issues and those questions are still here. A woman that I'm getting to know, she's a professor of sociology at Brandeis University. She did a study, and she found that 20% of the American public had worked with or had been in contact with a chaplain sometime in the last 2 years. I found that extraordinary. And that's a chaplain of whatever stripe. It might be a police chaplain, or it might be a chaplain in an airport. I don't know, because they're everywhere. But just that there is that level of saturation in our culture of chaplains. So anyway, I find that kind of encouraging that we're able to meet this need that maybe doesn't get met elsewhere, either at church or if they don't go to church. We're still here to kind of address those issues with them.
Right. And Todd, I was going to ask you that, too, about maybe for some of the families of these patients, whether they are in the hospital for a COVID illness or something else. But I imagine maybe some families maybe don't have a pastor or minister to talk to. Maybe they don't go to church regularly, and you are maybe the only person that they've come in contact with. And I imagine you provide a lot of help for families as well as patients, don't you?
Well, I hope so. I spoke with a woman the other day, and I introduced myself, and she gave me kind of a blank look, and she said, "And chaplains do what?" So I often go in with this expectation that people know what I mean when I say I'm a hospital chaplain, and so I have to kind of back up and sort of lay the groundwork in a way that is not threatening or intimidating or maybe off-putting in some way, by simply saying, I'm here to support you and your loved one any way I can in terms of the things that really matter to you, the things that maybe are your spiritual concerns or maybe religious concerns, or just I'm here to journey with you so you're not alone, so you don't feel like you're alone. I try to put it into as broad strokes as I possibly can, without watering down or dumbing down my own faith, and I don't feel that I do that. I feel very much guided by my understanding of who God is and my theology. But I also realize not everybody looks at it that way or wants it that way, and that's okay. So
sure, but you are there for that reason, and we certainly appreciate that. Todd, thank you for calling in this morning.
Well, nice to talk to you guys. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. It's good to talk to you, and again, to be reminded of the work that you are doing every day at the Salem Regional Medical Center. So thank you for the reminder, and keep up the good work.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Megan. I'll get in touch with you later, Megan.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Very
Bye,
good. Todd Smith, he is the chaplain at Salem Regional Medical Center, our guest here on KSJE, and always great to hear from him.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Love it.
And the work that he does. And we have another guest on the phone that we want to go to, so
Yes.
we will call him up right now. Good morning. You're on KSJE. Thank you for calling in this morning.
Good morning, Scott, Megan.
Hi there. This is Monica Schultz, right?
Correct.
From the Chili Pod.
Yes.
And thank you for calling in. We wanted to talk to you, Monica, because of some of the changing public health orders that have come out. And, of course, your restaurant was one of the very first to... Megan is pointing at the
Sorry,
I don't know
I'm telling
what.
you to turn up Monica.
She's here.
So, okay, yeah,
She's-
right. I know. That's what I was. Okay,
She's
anyway,
there. We can hear you.
I'm sitting across from the board, radio listeners, and Monica. So there's a lot of
There's a lot of
confusion
board.
with the pointing.
A lot of things.
But anyway,
we can hear Monica.
We can.
And she is
now I can hear Monica
with the Chili Pod
Okay.
in downtown
Good morning,
Farmington.
everyone.
And they have been open since this began, of course, and been complying with all the public health orders: dine in, dine out, don't dine,
Don't
pick
dine.
up,
Yeah.
to go, carry out, curbside,
Right.
all
What's
those
that
things.
like for a restaurant owner? Because it's a hard enough job, really. I mean, we hear all the time restaurant owners are like 24/7 pounding the pavement. So what's it been like on that roller coaster for you?
It's definitely been a challenge. These are critical times, and they are hard to deal with. And, we've been just trying to approach it with optimism grace and a lot of patience.
Right. And so these days, Monica, you have the curbside and to-go service, right? So you've had to change gears yet again, right?
Yes, we're trying to set up outdoor dining right now, and we, as of yesterday, got permission to serve in front of our restaurant and a few of our neighboring businesses who graciously allowed us the use of their storefronts. And also the city has allowed us to use the parking spaces in front of ours and those businesses' storefronts. So we're in the process of getting that all set up. But, this is just really just taxing on our employees. This is hard. We every new change, brings on a new set of just steps and anxiety, and every day we're literally doing something every day different.
Yeah, I believe
than the day
that.
before.
And so getting the stuff set up outside, of course, the space is a big issue, because I know anybody who's walked downtown knows that everybody's packed in. So it's very nice of the neighboring businesses to allow you to do that. But so how many tables are you accommodating out there, or you're attempting to accommodate?
Currently, we have 6, and the New Mexico health order are mandating, the mandate from the governor states that we can have 50% of outdoor dining. So based on the setup that I designed, I have 27 tables I could sit out there. So we're going to try to get up 12 or 13. And but it takes time to get that all set up and to get the tools and equipment you need to get it out there properly and safely. And we're just very grateful for the city of Farmington, because they really go above and beyond trying to make sure that they can grant you access to anything that they have available and anything, in their storehouse. So we're very fortunate for that.
And of course, Monica, you are in one of the areas of downtown Farmington that is just reopened, have you not, from the construction, or are you still in the middle of it?
We actually, our section, Phase 1, was reopened on Monday of last week.
Gotcha. So you have the wider sidewalks now, and you have some of that extra space to expand out onto the sidewalk, whereas before it certainly wouldn't have allowed you to have as many tables as you're planning for now.
Certainly, it wouldn't have been an option, had it been before last week. But if you haven't been to downtown, I recommend that you just take a tour down there. It's beautiful. When it's done, it's going to be just this shining, beacon for Farmington, for people to want to go downtown.
Right. And
we currently don't have, we don't have access to pass beyond our building, because Phase 2 begins right at the end of our street there. But that's the only reason I'm also able to get all these parking spaces, is because we really don't have a lot of traffic going right in front of our building. So I kind of ended up in this fortunate situation where we can offer this extra dining, to people. So we're trying to get it all set up. And
nice. Right. And this, of course, and again, outdoor dining was part of the reasons for the whole complete streets and the whole redesign downtown, was to allow restaurants like yourself to be able to do this, not even thinking we were going to have to do it because of a pandemic, for heaven's sakes, but just to do it for good business practices.
Yeah, it's literally, I know there's been a lot of discussion one way or the other on this project, and now that our section is completed, if you come and tour down there, you're going to see just an insight of what it's going to be like when it's completed. It is a phenomenal space. They're going to be able to do so much down there. I can foresee just tons of events that are going to be held down there, and every business down there is going to benefit from just, the beauty of it, the attractions it's going to bring, the people it's going to bring, and we already are benefiting from that because of the sidewalks. Before, I wouldn't have had enough space to be able to put these tables out there, because there's certain guidelines you have to meet to allow for traffic to go around your tables, and the only reason I can do it now is because they increased the size of the sidewalks.
Right. That makes sense. And so, obviously, going back and forth between dining in and curbside, how are you guys doing with your staff? Have you been able to keep everybody on board, or some people maybe furloughed, or what's going on there?
So when this last mandate came out, I was just really discouraged, because I thought, I'm going to have to lay off these people that I just spent last week training. And so I didn't schedule several of them on Monday and Tuesday because we are just still trying to get all this going. And, the sad situation about this is that there are some employees who the system, for whatever reason, whether it's their own situation or they don't have access to unemployment or to the stimulus funding. And so some of these people, their only option to provide for their families is to work. So that stress rests upon my shoulders because I have concern for these people. So it would be easier right now for me to do just carry out and scale down to a skeleton staff, but I can't do that. And so I spent the last 3 or 4 days just what I feel high stress and a lot of anxiety in order to try to get all this outdoor dining and all the permits and stuff in place in order to keep these people employed. And they're stressed because, of course, their hours are cut. The majority of our business right now is to go. I don't really need any dishwashers for that, so it's just, these are just really stressful times, and I'm just trying to keep as many people employed as I can.
Right. I think that is what a lot of folks are trying to do, a lot of business owners everywhere these days. And, of course, these public health orders can change back again on a moment's notice, maybe with a few days' notice. This last one gave you, maybe 2 days in the weekend to figure out how to do this. So you're kind of ramping up and ramping down as the orders allow, I suppose, right?
And that's exactly it. I believe with every order that's come out, we've had like a 3-day preparation phase to do it. And 3 days is nothing.
Yeah.
Right,
So you're literally trying to redesign your entire building and floor space and functionality within 3 days on how you're going to, accommodate these new orders and to do it safely because we value every person's life that comes through our doors. So we want to make sure that we're doing everything in a way that's going to guarantee that you are not getting COVID-19 at the chili pod.
Right.
And so everything that 3 days, it's been tough. But thankfully, I have just such a good group of core people who have been with me for a long time. And they are there, dawn to dusk, whenever I need them so that we can offer this, safe place for people to come in and dine.
Very good. And Monica, I wanted to ask you, too, I know there are a lot of folks that are listening to us today and watching us today that want to know how they can help. Businesses like yours, like other businesses that we see, whether it's a restaurant or a retail store or whatever the case may be, what's your advice for the rest of us to be able to keep supporting all of small businesses during this time? What would your advice be? As much as we want to eat out every day, some of us can't do that. My belt can't take it.
Yeah.
He's got some girth issues.
That's true.
We're all going to have that at the end of this pandemic. But, one thing that I chose to start doing when this began is I share every local business's post that I can, whether it's a restaurant or some other business, because nobody's going to dine at my place every day. And so I'm trying to share, what would be considered maybe my competition. I try to share their posts because I want them to succeed as well. And also I ask that everyone please just enter these small businesses with just patience and offer grace because they're struggling. The employers are struggling trying to just meet all these new requirements and restrictions, and the employees are struggling trying to, when you change a routine, they're speedy when they have that routine down, but every time you change something, it just creates a little bit of havoc and disorganization. And so we just really ask for people to be patient and kind, and we will try to just offer you the best possible service that we can.
Good advice. Well, Monica, we appreciate you calling in this morning and talking with us about some of the things that you have done for your business and your employees at the Chili Pod in downtown Farmington, and good luck with the move to outdoor dining.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. You guys have a great day.
You
Stay
too.
healthy.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Yes, you too. Thank you very much. And another great guest on our program, right? And
Right.
that story is being repeated over and over again throughout the country, throughout the state,
Right.
Of local business owners doing their best to try to keep as
Yeah.
many other folks on the job as they can while following these public health orders.
Yeah, you got to have some mad respect for folks that just get on it and figure it out. And like I said, it's hard enough to own your own business, especially a restaurant business. So
Right.
Hats off to the Chili Pod for doing it right.
Right, and the many
Yeah.
others that are doing it,
Right.
too, across the state and county and
Right.
city. So
Right.
there you go. So other stories we want to talk about
There
today?
is one exciting story.
What you got?
That
Oh.
broke this morning.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
So New York Times had a story this morning talking about promising vaccines. So apparently there is a final phase 3, and that's the final step before a vaccine is approved and distributed to the public. And according to the Times this morning, out of the 155 vaccines that have been studied and developed around the world, 4 have reached phase 3. So they're looking at the possibility of 4 different vaccines being in phase 3, which is the final step before it's approved and distributed to the public. And of course, it's never as simple as that sounds. I'm sure that all sorts of things go into phase 3 to make sure that the vaccine is safe and efficient. And then after that, of course, you move into the stage of, do we have enough resources? How is it going to be equitably distributed? This is a pandemic, so we want every part of the world to have access. So, but this is progress, clearly.
Right.
So that's exciting.
Very true.
I was like, what?
That is cool.
Great
Well,
news.
and I think a lot of folks are saying that we're not going to probably be able to resume a lot of our group activities until there is a vaccine.
Correct.
Because there really isn't a safe way to do that, whether it's sports or concerts or plays
Correct.
or all those types of things. And it's just amazing to me when I think about all the things that I used to do that involved a group of other people
Right.
that I now can't do.
Right.
It's amazing.
It is truly amazing. And the biotech company Moderna, this is supposed to be one of the most promising one because their vaccine provoked an immune response in 45 people in the study. And that was published this week, and there weren't any serious side effects. And that company, Moderna, announced yesterday that it would begin phase 3 testing on 30,000 people later this month, and that study is to be completed in October.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah. So thank you to New York Times for that, and thank you to Moderna. Keep up the good work, guys.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Very
Yeah.
true. Very true. Well, before we go, I wanted to share information about testing.
Yeah.
And again, so I'm going to just call up this Facebook page, City of Farmington, because that's the one I found. And we can show you that for testing for next week. We have it again. It's in Farmington and Kirkland. The Department of Health is doing the free testing. Again, continuing for anybody that wants a test. I think the state has been able to secure lots of tests and lots of lab testing ability to be able to get results back fairly quickly. So Monday, July 20th at 7 a.m. here at San Juan College. Tuesday at 7 a.m. here at San Juan College. And again at 6 p.m. here at San Juan College. Wednesday, July 22nd, next week, it'll be out in Kirtland at 8 a.m. at Judy Nelson School. And then Thursday, again in the morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. here at San Juan College. And so the information is there on the screen. They ask you to pre-register before you arrive so that everything's ready to go and they can get you through. And they really got it down, I think, fairly quickly. I don't hear about a lot of people having to
No,
wait
it really is true.
a long amount of
No.
time. You have to wait a little bit, but not forever.
No, yeah, it's super efficient. I mean, definitely, I would suggest you get there before the start time just to make sure you're in the clear.
That's right.
But it's very efficient. And actually, when I did it, I got the results within like 48 hours.
Yeah.
So
So there you go, everybody. But again, they are, suggesting that anybody that is concerned or maybe is in some of these high-risk positions or what have you, that you can go and get a test, and they are free for New
yes,
Mexicans.
yes, they are.
And the other urgent cares, I think, are offering free tests with insurance, and so that's another option that folks have as well.
Right.
So there you go.
There you go.
So I think we have covered much of the show today. We didn't look at the local news stories that came out that I wanted to kind of highlight really quickly.
Well, you can do that.
Before we go.
I mean, you can do
I know. I'm asking you for permission. I have all the buttons over
I don't need to
here.
give you permission because
do not.
you have the board and you're the general manager here.
Right.
So
there you go.
I know I'm co-host here, but
Right.
put me in my place.
I want you to think you have a little bit of input in the content of the program.
Autonomy here.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, we talked about our statewide numbers, the county numbers, of course, again, from yesterday. And if we scroll down, we should be able to see, but that's from Wednesday, so I need to refresh that page. Come on, the internet. There we are. That's the number I was looking for. because we had a lot of new cases in our state yesterday. Let me find this story here. It is the 330 new cases across the state yesterday. That was what I was trying to find.
Right.
Which was a lot higher than what we've seen for increases in daily cases.
Right.
So
That's right.
It's one of the higher reports. 15,841. And again, in New Mexico, in San Juan County, 24 new cases yesterday. So that is within the averages that we've been seeing.
Correct.
And then one additional death in San Juan County. So our deaths, again, seem to be around 1 to 3 maybe
A day. Yeah.
that we are seeing. The Navajo Nation, of course, had 80 new cases being reported. That was on Wednesday. And so, again, 4 additional deaths there. So I thought that was important to note. But
Yes.
again, as these daily numbers come in, the news about San Juan College for the fall, these hybrid model, again, most are going to be online, some face-to-face if they
Depending
need to
on
be
your
face-to-face.
discipline, right.
Correct. But that's kind of what the college is planning to do. By the way, for Monday's show, we're going to try to talk to Farmington schools about their plans
Yes.
for students in the fall. So we hope you'll join us again on Monday. And then, of course, the soccer and football seasons that have been postponed, those contact sports that we've talked about as well. And things are getting kind of switched around from maybe spring to fall and fall to spring.
It's all fluid.
Yeah, time is fluid.
I think
and
it
sports
was
schedules are fluid.
Kurt Vonnegut said that we actually had 7 seasons, and
Okay,
we'd be a lot less angry if we acknowledged that.
interesting.
It was
Okay.
Go back and look at it.
right.
I tend to agree.
Thanks for that.
Yeah. Anyway.
That could
Yeah.
be. So that's what's
So
going on.
That's what's going on.
So there you go.
New stuff.
That's right.
You don't have to get used to online learning these days.
Yeah, I'm afraid so. Especially for college students. Now, for high school and secondary school students, we're going to talk to
We'll
Dr.
see.
Schmidt about that on Monday.
see, yeah.
And I think they're trying to have a plan for that because it can't be a one-size-fits-all solution.
No,
Is what I
parents
think
will be
these
getting
schools
phone
are-
calls within 2 to 3 days, apparently.
Right. So we'll talk about that on Monday, everybody. But for now, that's what we have for you today. We thank you for joining us on KSJE. Again, thanks to our radio partner. So this show is live on Facebook and YouTube Mondays and Thursdays at 9 a.m. Rebroadcast at noon Mondays and Thursdays on KNMI 88.9. That's vertical radio. And rebroadcast at 5:06 p.m. right here on KSJE 90.9 and 103.3. So we appreciate all of that. So there you go.
See you
Until next time, have a great weekend, everyone. Stay safe, wash your hands, don't touch your face, and we will see you back here on Monday.